Good morning, everybody. So welcome to our edition today of the Business Toolkit webinar series that the Chamber has been putting on. So today we're going to learn how to use LinkedIn for your business. So if you have not met me before, my name is Cassie Ward Chandler. I'm a business advisor at JSU in our Small Business Development Center. So we work with the Chamber in doing different workshops and helping our entrepreneurs, our small business owners. And so some of you I know and have met before. For those of you who don't know, I'll give you a little background about the Small Business Development Center and what we do. So we are hosted by JSU, but our office is funded by the Small Business Administration. So we have that grant funding so that we can assist small businesses free of charge. So everything that we do one-on-one with small business owners is confidential and free, provided at no cost. So we are a great resource in the community. Of course, I'm biased when I say that, but we really, do our best with community outreach, economic development, and really helping the entrepreneurs and small businesses in our community. So if you're interested in one-on-one advisement and we haven't met before, I can get you that information, or of course the Chamber can too, so that you can sign up to be our client. So with that, I'll go ahead and get started. Feel free, for those of you who are here live, if you have questions, ask me, because I could talk all day about LinkedIn. There's so many different things that you can do with LinkedIn, especially, creating your profile, finding people, making connections. So if I say something and it sparks a question, just go ahead and ask. So I'm lucky to be joined by some of the Chamber ladies today, so I'm excited that y'all are all here. All right, so I have a PowerPoint. I'm going to go through these slides, but then after that, I'm going to actually go over and share my screen to my LinkedIn. So that way I can give you more of an unscripted tour of LinkedIn, more personal how I use it, just to give you ideas of ways that it might be helpful for you. So let's see. There we go. So some of the key benefits, just really quick before I get into how to create your profile and everything like that. Networking. So this is probably the main reason that you want to have a LinkedIn, is to network, find connections, especially now when we can't go out to events. There's no more, handshaking, getting to know somebody. But with LinkedIn, you can do all of that same stuff virtually. So in terms of networking, not just with colleagues, but also with potential customers, clients, others in your industry, vendors or suppliers, there is just so many different ways to connect with people on LinkedIn. Another way is to increase exposure. So, explain who you are, what you do, get your name out there, your company out there. With LinkedIn, it's basically the virtual version of your business card, your resume, your marketing, all in one place. So that also helps you to generate leads, to build relationships. It gives a level of credibility to who you are as a professional, as well as credibility to your company. So if someone has heard of your company, they're wondering about you, do they want to do business with you, they can go do a LinkedIn search or even a Google search. If your LinkedIn profile pops up, they can take a look at it and see that you are a real person, your company is legit, just like they would with your website. It gives an opportunity for thought leadership. So it's a platform where you can share your expertise and just it kind of give a more personal relationship to your business and explain who your business is in terms of leadership. It allows you to recruit talent. So if you are looking for a new employee, LinkedIn is a great platform to be able to do that. And it also allows you to keep an eye on your competition to see how they are using LinkedIn, what their marketing strategies are. That way you can better position yourself. And I'll just note too, as I have gone through and accumulated all this information into the presentation today, you can see at the bottom, I have listed all of the sources. And so if you'd like a copy of this PowerPoint, I can get that to you. The chamber can get that to you. That way you can actually go in and access those links to get the full version of what I'm trying to condense down to you just really briefly. So those are some of the key benefits of LinkedIn. So the first thing you have to do, of course, is to get started, create an account and create your LinkedIn profile. And so I actually give a similar presentation to the students here at JSU from a little bit different of a perspective. But when I am walking through LinkedIn with them initially, a lot of them already have a LinkedIn profile set up. They just don't know what to do with it. So they've created a profile, but then it just sits there. So it's a little bit different learning how to use LinkedIn versus some of the other social media platforms, because obviously with, Facebook, Instagram, you want to make a post, you get on there, you post it. It doesn't matter. You can express yourself personally, your interests, pictures of your kids, whatever. But with LinkedIn, it's different. And so it's kind of hard to grasp, what do you post about on LinkedIn? But I'll explain all that in a little bit. But very simply, the first thing you need to do is just go to linkedin.com. And I show it here. And this is what you'll actually see when you go to linkedin.com, and up in the top right corner, you'll see join now to set up an account, or if you have already, created an account and a profile in the past, you can sign in. So if you are creating an account for the first time, it will bring up, just the very generic things that you usually see when you create an online profile with anything. Of course, your name, and just other general details like that. And I'll show you in just a minute what a completed profile will look like. So once you get your profile set up, and I'm going to just jump in here because going through the actual details of setting up your profile, you can do that on your own. What I want to do is show you how to optimize your profile. So when you first set up your profile, it will be very generic for everyone. So you can see the LinkedIn default background image that I've shown here. It kind of looks like the constellations in the background. You do not want to leave this as your background of your profile, because that shows anyone who looks at your profile that you did the very bare minimum. You created an account, the end. So what you want to do is figure out an appropriate background image, or a banner image as they call it. So I'm going to go through all of that in a little more detail now, but I just wanted to show you the difference there between what it initially looks like when you set it up versus how you want it to be when you're finished with your profile. So when it comes to selecting a profile photo, this is an image that I use with my students to show them this is not the type of headshot or photo that you want on your LinkedIn profile. You want to go with something more along the lines of a professional headshot. And this basically shows a couple of different ways to look at a profile picture and make sure that you use the one that is most fitting and most flattering. So as you can see in the top left, there's a young lady. The very top left corner, it says that there's bad photo composition, meaning she's not looking at the camera, there's poor lighting, it's too dark, versus the better version of the photo where she is looking at the camera, there's good lighting. Then next, you want to see how you've cropped your photo. You want to make sure you see your full upper body. Typically with a headshot, it's shoulders up. So you still kind of keep that in mind. Make sure that there's a clean background. You don't want it to be too distracting. Then in the bottom left, you see there is just a cluttered workspace. And honestly, that's what mine looks like right now. So I'm glad that you can't see that part of my desk. But just be sure that you have a simple background. You frame the photo to your face. You don't have anything extra going on to distract people. And then at the bottom right, you see a very distracting background. She's wearing casual attire. She's not looking professional. And there's a horse in the background. So unless she is, unless that's part of her business, that wouldn't be a great idea to have in a profile photo. So really you just want to focus on your face, make sure you look professional, smile, and look at the camera. All right, so this is what I was talking about with the banner photo, the generic default banner photo. You don't want to have this. You want to have something that adds value. So your LinkedIn profile, most of it is written words. It's narrative, or it's list, bullet points, who you are, what you do. So you want to have something that complements that visually. So it's another opportunity to create a positive first impression. So you have a nice profile photo, you have a nice banner photo. So this is me. And this was a course that I taught in our finance lab in the School of Business at JSU. So for the ones of you who don't know me, I wear a lot of hats. So in addition to being a business advisor, like in the role that I am now, I also teach accounting at JSU, and I'm in our doctoral program for emergency management. So when we look at my LinkedIn profile in a little bit, you're going to see a lot of different things. So just know that going in, I have a lot going on. So I wear a lot of different hats, have a lot of different titles. So some ideas for a banner photo for yourself. It can be a workspace. It could be your building. It could be something that is consistent with your website. You know, if you have a banner across the top of your website, if you wanted to keep it consistent with that, you could use that image on your LinkedIn as well. If you're a photographer, for example, you could have a tool of the trade, as you see up here with the camera. You could also have a picture of your product or service. So the next thing that we'll talk about on your LinkedIn profile is the headline. So the headline, obviously, you can see here my picture and my banner photo. Then directly under that, you see my name. And then under that is my headline. So as you can see, I told you I have a lot going on. And when someone looks at my LinkedIn profile, I want them to know who I am and what I do. So I'm an accountant, but I'm also studying emergency management. So it might be confusing if I only had accountant on my LinkedIn profile and someone from emergency management looked at my LinkedIn profile. They might think they have the wrong person. So I just want to make sure that anyone who looks at my profile has an instant snapshot of who I am and what I do. So that's my headline. There are many different ways to format them, and I'll show you a couple. What you do not want to do is just have your title. So you don't want to just say that you're the manager at a restaurant, or like I said, accountant, or you're the business owner of such and such. Of course, you want to mention that, but you want to grab attention quickly, and you want people to have a better understanding of who you are. So these are a couple different ways that you can format your headline. The first one with the computer network support specialist, you can see that they structured it similarly to my headline and used the vertical bars between their different titles or their different areas of expertise, whatever. One really cool thing that they also did in this top headline is you can see they put their zip code 53140. So obviously, with LinkedIn, with the internet in general, with globalization, you don't know where someone might be when they're looking at your LinkedIn profile. So if you have some sort of identifying information there, they could know what area you do business in, to see if they're local to you, or, to go on your website and see how maybe they could order your product or service from across the country. And then the next example of the headline, commercial and residential carpet cleaning, comma, emergency restoration, comma. So you see that they're still putting a lot of information into a small space. And basically what they're doing in this headline is showcasing the different services that they offer. So it's one of these things where you can customize it, show your personality a little bit if you want to. But it's a really small space, so make it worth the amount of characters that you can fit there. So that's your headline. All right, next, there is a summary statement that you will enter on your profile. And so it will show up under About. And I don't remember how many characters it allows. It allows a good bit of space for you to put, a narrative about who you are, your goals, what your business offers. This is a space where you can, I think of it almost as a cover letter. So if you're looking at your LinkedIn profile, really, when you get down to it, it's almost like your online resume. when you first initially enter all your information. And so the about section or the summary is where you can put the information that you might normally put in a cover letter to explain or go more in depth about the stuff that you would see on your resume. So what I did in my about section, and obviously I'm not a small business owner, so I have a completely different audience than, looking at it from a small business perspective, but, some of the concepts still apply to anyone who's on LinkedIn. But I talk about where I am currently, the things that I've accomplished in the past, and what I'm looking to do in the future. So, if you are a small business owner, you can talk about, your industry, what you did prior to owning your business, and how that prepared you to be great at running your business and offering a great product or service. One great thing about LinkedIn is you can customize your URL. So initially, when you first set up LinkedIn, it will give you just, a random, might be your name and then a bunch of numbers afterwards. But you can actually go in and customize that and edit it to be your name. And so the directions are right here to be able to do that, but I can show you when we look at my actual LinkedIn profile in a minute too. So that whole portion of the presentation so far was just about creating your personal LinkedIn profile. So you're going to have one as an individual, as a professional, but then you'll also want to create a company page for your business. And so once you have your personal professional profile created, what you'll do is click up at the top right. There will be a link or a little icon that says work. As you can see here where I've circled that, you can do the drop down arrow, and then at the very bottom, it will there'll be something you say create a company page. You'll click there. And then it will bring up, the different types of pages that can be created. Most of us, my clients, working with them, they will select the small business. So that's fewer than 200 employees per LinkedIn. But then you can also have a medium to large business. You can do a showcase page, which I really don't get into in this presentation, but we could do that another day. And then, a school or university would select educational institution. But that is how you initially get to create your company page. So it will be very similar to setting up your own LinkedIn profile. It will just be you're entering the basic details about your business. So just like anything else you set up online, it'll ask you those basic things. One of the cool features about LinkedIn is it kind of helps you along. It gives you some next steps, gives you some tips, pointers, advice. If it sees that you haven't, for example, entered your company website to show on your LinkedIn, there will pop up a little reminder to do that. If you haven't put your logo on your webpage, on your LinkedIn, it will pop up a little tip, little reminder to do that. So it helps you build your page to make sure that it's almost foolproof, and they're reminding you to complete everything that you possibly can on your LinkedIn profile. You want to have it as complete and accurate as possible. So when you're going through your company page, getting it set up, think about how you want to portray yourself as a professional, how you want to portray your business. So as you're writing the description about what your company is, who you are, what you sell, think about your vision and mission, your goals, the values of your company, your competitive advantage, what makes you stand out, what makes your product or service superior to those of your competitors, and what products and services do you offer. So just make sure you have all of those things within the organization description. Be sure you add your logo, and you can also do a cover image, just like on your professional, your individual LinkedIn profile. You can also add a cover image for your business. So, product or service might be great to add there as the cover image. And then just make sure that you have all of your organization's details input. So, of course, your website, your location, what industry you're in, and everything like that. So you just want to make sure that you have your all of your information complete. So now, once you have a completed page with LinkedIn and everything that I'm going to show you about posting, networking, finding connections, everything that you do within LinkedIn is building your brand. So you want to make the world of LinkedIn an extension of who you are as a business owner and what your company is, what it stands for. So just keep in mind that any interaction you have, anything that you post is a portrayal of your business itself, of your brand. So I mentioned that a lot of times people have LinkedIn profiles, but they don't know what to do with them. And so here's where I'm going to get into what types of posts you can make, how you can stay regularly engaged. So first of all, from your company page, you want to post regularly, whatever that means for you, whether it's once a week, once a month, once every 2 weeks. You want to try to stay relevant, post regularly to make sure that you're showing up in the news feed, basically, of your followers. When you make a post, always include a picture or a link or a video. If it's just words, for example, we know this on Facebook, if you're scrolling through your news feed and there's just a bunch of words, a lot of times you just scroll right past it. But if an image captures your attention, you'll be more likely to interact with the post. So same on LinkedIn. When you make a post, you can also use the @ symbol, just like on other social media platforms, to mention another person or company. So if you were making a post about one of your employees, you're spotlighting them, what a great job they did, with a particular job, or exceptional customer service, something like that. You could do the @ symbol and actually mention them so that all of their followers could also see your post, and they'd be more likely to engage with your company page, maybe follow your company page, or at least like the post also. And the more likes you receive, the more it's seen on other pages. So you're not posting just to get likes, but you want to post engaging content so that you do get likes. You can also use hashtags, just like on other social media platforms. And so this will make your posts more searchable. And then any post that you make and you receive comments on them, always respond to those. Social media is a two-way street. You're not just out there posting great things about your company. You want to actually interact with people who are engaged with your posts. So now, what do you post about? That's the hardest thing to figure out. So these are just some very basic ideas just to kind of get you started. Updates about your company. Are you expanding? Are you, offering a new promotion? Do you have something that's available to showcase an item, that's in your inventory? Just any updates with what you have going on. Have you been featured in the news lately? Have you won an award or an honor from the newspaper or from the chamber? Those are always great things to post. And a lot of times with those, you can also link to an article. So it's not just like you're saying great things about your company. You can talk about how honored or privileged you are to be recognized. And so it's less likely to be seen as tooting your own horn if someone else has given you this honor, and then you can link over to it. Talk about different things happening in your industry, things that might affect your customer or clients, and what you're doing to mitigate anything that might be perceived negatively. So obviously, with the pandemic, there are a lot of businesses showcasing what they're doing to make customers feel safe. And so that's just one example of how you can show, things that are going on in your industry. Next thing would be any projects that your business might be working on. Just snap a picture and put it on LinkedIn and, explain what's going on. If you've got construction going on, just take a picture of that. Explain how excited you are about this new expansion, how it's going to improve your business or customer service, or, just something to highlight what's going on in your business and why it's great. You can talk about any new offerings you have, and then like I already mentioned, any awards or honors that you receive. So those are a few ideas. When you do post though, you want to make sure that it is purposeful. You're not just posting for the sake of posting. So this is a list you can see of the different purposes behind potential posts. So you might be hoping to generate leads or potential customers or clients. Keep that in mind. You might be spotlighting a great customer or a great employee. You could be promoting your brand, promoting a partnership that you have. So one really cool thing, I don't know if it was on LinkedIn, I know it was on Facebook, but since this is National Small Business Week, the Chamber did a little spotlight post about our Small Business Development Center and what we do. So they promoted us as a partner. And then in turn, I shared that to cross-reference the partnership promotion. So it's really, it's just a great way to network, like I said, with colleagues, but also with partners. You can show a product innovation or how you've innovated a service offering. You want to try to engage your audience when it's appropriate. You don't want them to always just be passive as they, scroll through your posts. You want them to engage. So you could ask for ideas, feedback, suggestions. It could be something, anything to just get them to comment or, like I said, like or share, because that allows more people to see your posts. But be classy about it. It can also be an opportunity to showcase the talent that you currently have. So like I said, showing off to your employees, or it could be an opportunity to, if you are looking for a new employee, or if you have a position vacant, you can explain, what you're looking for in a potential, whoever's going to fill this role. It's very important to keep your page up to date always. Just like with a website, you don't want to have outdated links. You don't want to have outdated information there. LinkedIn is all about first impressions. So you want to make sure that your profile exhibits who you are as a company and has all of that accurate information there. One thing that you do not want to do with LinkedIn is just constantly direct advertisement. That's not what LinkedIn is for. No one wants to scroll through you trying to sell them something. So there's already that issue on Facebook. LinkedIn is not here for it. So post content that your followers will enjoy, that will be valuable to them, that relates to your business or industry. So you don't want to get salesy. You don't want to, do a hard push for them to do business with your company. You do want to try to publish some of your own content, but I'll show you there are some other creative ways that you can, share someone else's article and maybe, talk about why it's important to your business, important to your industry, and suggest that others read it too. So you don't always have to just post your own content. So you want to share engaging and insightful content from others. A good rule to follow, not just on LinkedIn, but on other social media platforms too, is the 80-20 rule. So 80% of your content, you want to be focusing on engaging your audience. That's part of marketing, is simply engaging your audience. Then with the other 20%, then you can be more promotional. But you don't want to just be constantly throwing out sales pitches. That's not what people are on LinkedIn for. So in order to engage your network, you have to have a network. And the way that you grow your network on LinkedIn is through connections. So they're not friends. A lot of times they aren't followers either. They are truly connections. So these are people like your colleagues, your coworkers, customers, clients, anyone in your supply chain, anyone who it can be business to business, business to consumer. Anyone that is relevant to your business can become a connection. So I'll show you in just a minute when I actually go over to my LinkedIn profile how you can search for connections. But basically, just like with other platforms, with anything else online, there's a search bar. And so if you're looking for a specific person, you think they'd really be a valuable connection to your, to your LinkedIn network, you can type in their name, look for them, send them a connection request. But it doesn't end there. And that's one of the things with LinkedIn and people being more passive. You have to be active on LinkedIn to stay relevant. So you have to be able to engage your connections, your network, so that you can then build upon that, build a relationship, and then hopefully eventually convert them into a customer or client. So that's your marketing strategy with LinkedIn, is to build a network, build relationships. The end result is hopefully to have, customers and clients come from it. But that's not, keep that in mind, but that's not what your initial focus is with this type of strategy. Another opportunity you have on LinkedIn is to show your expertise. So and this can be with some of the content that you publish yourself, as far as making posts that are your own words, your own work. But then also, like I said, there's always great opportunities to share the work of others. A post that you find meaningful or insightful, just like on Facebook, you can share a post. The same goes with LinkedIn. You can do that as well. So another cool thing about LinkedIn is not just how you post or how you engage your followers, but it's how you can stay up to date on your industry. And, you are in an online network with your whole, all your connections. So this is everyone in your industry. It's your competition. You can see what's going on in your industry, keep up with news, events that are going on, any legislation that might impact your business. You can follow thought leaders or influencers, people who publish good content, quality content that's helpful to you or insightful to you. You can follow them. A great thing to do is to follow companies and organizations. So not just individuals, but other organizations. And I'll show you an example of that in a minute also. Like I said, you can follow your competitors. And you can also follow hashtags. So one of the hashtags that I follow is hashtag SBDC. So anyone, that stands for Small Business Development Center, by the way. So anytime anyone posts on LinkedIn and uses that hashtag, since I follow that hashtag, it will show up in my feed. So that's one of the ways that I stay up to date on any other Small Business Development Center news that's going on nationwide. And this is the last slide, then I'll get into the more unscripted part of the presentation. But here I'm just showcasing the Chamber's LinkedIn. And so if you have not followed them on LinkedIn yet, be sure that you do that as you are going through and updating your profile and making your company page. So that is that part of the presentation. And so now I'm going to share my LinkedIn, so that I can give you just a better overview and more hands-on, explanation of what I've just gone through on the slideshow. So like I said, this is unscripted, so I don't know what all I'm about to tell you, but I'll show you a bunch of cool different things that you can do with LinkedIn. So what you're seeing right now is my news feed, basically, similar to Facebook. It's basically an accumulation of all of the different posts from the people that I follow or my connections, or any organizations that I follow, any hashtags that I follow, anything that LinkedIn has deemed relevant for me shows up here. And so, just as you do on other social media networks, you can scroll through to see what other people are posting, any news that might come up, and you can engage with those, with a like or a comment, just like anywhere else. So this is the news feed, basically. If I wanted to view my profile, this is one way that I could do that. When I look at it from this view, when I look at it from this view, you can see it allows me the option to edit. So when you're looking at your own LinkedIn profile, anytime there's a little pencil, you can edit whatever details are in that section. So I'll just scroll down a little bit so that you can see kind of the more full information that's on my LinkedIn. Of course, like I said, it's like your online resume. So you'll input all of your work experience, or at least your relevant experience, your education, any licenses and certifications that you have within your industry or within your business, volunteer experience. You can add skills. I always recommend adding some skills, but you don't want to add, just very cliche stuff. proficient in Microsoft Word. You don't want to add that kind of stuff. Put things that are relevant and add value. You can ask for recommendations from some of your connections. So this could be really valuable to you as a small business owner. You could, if you are connected with some of your clients or customers, or even your colleagues, you could ask them to write a recommendation for you or an endorsement for you, so that when other people view your profile, they see that you're not just tooting your own horn, talking about all your accomplishments and everything like that. It just adds a level of credibility, showing that, other people have those same thoughts too. It's not just the person's profile that you're looking at. But you can list some of your accomplishments. And under interests, this is where it lists some of the different pages that I follow. So organizations, companies. Let's see. So I follow a couple of influencers. You can see different companies that I follow. And as you can see, some of them are emergency management related, some of them are academically related, just a lot of different stuff in one space for me. But it helps me to keep all of my interests and everything like that consolidated in one space. So when I log into LinkedIn, professionally, I have a good idea of what's going on in all the different fields that I work in. I also follow some groups. So with LinkedIn, you can join groups. A lot of times they are more industry specific. So you can search for those. With a group, you have to, instead of just following it, you have to actually join it. And so the person who's over the group has to accept you into the group. And you can also follow schools. So obviously I follow JSU and then a couple other institutions as well. So that's, when you look at someone's profile, those are the types of things that you will see. So keep that in mind as you're making your profile, the things that you want to showcase to people who are looking at your page. All right, so across the top, we have a banner, and so I can click on some of these different things so you can get an idea of what pops up there. So I clicked on My Network. One of the things that I love about LinkedIn is it's always making suggestions for you. So the more that you do on LinkedIn, as far as following, joining groups, interacting with posts, it kind of gets to know who you are and it makes recommendations for you. So you can see that there are some online events that are happening that LinkedIn has suggested I might be interested in. It also recommends connections for you, and I'll show you that in just a minute. So you can, when you click on My Network, this is what it shows you, and you can manage your network. So the first thing you see here are connections. So if I click on connections, it shows me, all of my connections. I can go through, I can actually search for someone specific. If I need to, message them, instead of having to scroll through everyone, I can just search their name. Different contacts, people that I follow, the groups that I'm in. So you can see those same groups here. The pages that I follow, and these are like some of those businesses and organizations that I recommend that you follow. And this is where you find some of the content that you might be interested in sharing. So if you follow lots of smart people, then you can share their smart content, then you also look smart. So I try to follow, anyone who is credible, relevant within my industry, so that not only can I learn from them, learn from the articles that they publish or the things that they share, but then I can also share them with those in my network who might also find value in them. So the more people you follow, the more content you have to work with on LinkedIn. And so you can see I follow a lot of small business development centers. And that's because I want to stay relevant in what I do. And then also it's just a great way to collaborate. So do the same within your industry. Find your industry leaders, find your colleagues within your industry, and collaborate with them on LinkedIn. All right, and then like I said, you can also follow hashtags. So as you're setting up your LinkedIn profile, it will ask you for hashtags that you want to follow. As I mentioned, one of the main ones that I follow is hashtag SBDC. So if I want to see who's using that hashtag lately, I can just click there and I can scroll through, and you see all these posts have hashtag SBDC somewhere within them. So if I'm looking for something specifically SBC related, that's one way to search that. All right, so I think that's everything I'm gonna kind of highlight under my network. I'm gonna skip over jobs for now and go to messaging. So this is just like with any other social media messaging, whatever. It works just the same way. You can message back and forth with your connections. Notifications gives you obviously notifications of anything that's going on within your network. For example, this connection of mine has just started a new position. So I could, reach out to him, say congratulations. I told you LinkedIn likes to suggest things for you. But just be sure that whatever you do, you're doing it for the right reason. You don't want to just click say congrats and then leave it at that. Personalize everything that you do on LinkedIn. It gives you just, the very bare minimum of what you can do, but always go above and beyond and personalize that. And so I'm going to give you an example of how you can personalize. So we currently have an intern, and she and I have not connected on LinkedIn yet, I don't think. So I'm going to search for her. Her name is Andrea Williams. So I'm going to show you kind of how this works. I don't know if you've heard of the 6 degrees of separation. If you have, this will make sense. If you haven't, I'm just going to try to explain it the LinkedIn way. But as you can see, her name pops up and that's her picture. So I know this is her profile. And we are a 2nd degree connection, meaning that we are not 1st degree connections. If we were 1st degree connections, that means that we would be actual connections. If you're a 2nd degree connection, that means that she and I have at least one mutual connection. So what you'll see displayed by someone's name is their degree of connection, obviously. So it'll say either 1st, 2nd, or 3rd plus. It doesn't go way out there. If you're a 3rd degree connection or beyond, it'll just say 3 plus. But anyway, what I can do now is click on her profile. And this is something very important to mention at this point. Anytime you view someone's profile on LinkedIn, it lets them know that you looked at it. So at first that really scared me and I was freaked out to look at anyone's profile on LinkedIn because I thought, okay, well now they'll know that I looked at their profile and they'll think that I'm a stalker. So that was my initial thought on that. It's kind of changed over time now as I've gotten more professionally into LinkedIn. But it's always something to just keep in mind because you don't want to, especially if you're not doing anything business related on LinkedIn at the moment, you're looking at somebody's, ex-boyfriend, ex-girlfriend, whatever, just to kind of be nosy, just keep in mind that they will see that you viewed their profile. So here we are, and I can just click connect to connect with her. It automatically sends a connection request, but what you can do is add a note to personalize the invitation. So instead of just, sending out the regular old connection request, you can add a little note. So I'm going to say something like, I'm excited to get to know you. Looking forward to teaching you the ropes. So just, whatever, personalize it somehow. And I have a lot of LinkedIn stories really, so I can share some of them. I know we don't have time for all of them. But since I started using LinkedIn a lot, really within the past year, I have made so many new connections. It's just a completely different world once you actually embrace it for what it is and be more active on LinkedIn. So now what I'm going to show you is some of my posts just to give you an idea of how I use LinkedIn, so that maybe that will give you some ideas for, how you can use it. All right, so I'm going to look at all of my activity. So under my activity, it will show any posts that I've interacted with, whether it's something that I liked, commented on, or if it was a post of my own. So this is all the activity. So instead of just scrolling through that, I'm going to show you things that I have actually posted. So I can click on posts here. So I mentioned to you, I have so many different things going on, and I really have not been as present on LinkedIn in the past few months with the pandemic. So as you can see, my most recent post was actually 5 months ago, and I'm really not proud of that. So I'm vowing to do better now that I'm teaching you about LinkedIn too. But this was something that I did for the university. This was just right when the pandemic hit. We were all trying to figure out, what are we doing? And so my perspective on that as a business advisor was, how am I helping my small business clients? And so along with the university, with EMA and with the chamber, we were able to collaborate on some things. And one of those things was a video, just a 5-minute video that I posted about here, about business continuity plans. So you have to be a little creative. I wasn't able to post the video and then also post some other stuff at the same time. So I had to choose what I wanted to do. So I just took a screenshot of the video, used it as an image, wrote my quick little 2 sentences just to grab your attention. But then I linked to the video itself so that, if you were to engage with my post, you could, click on the link and go watch the video itself. As you can see, I used hashtags so that anyone who follows these hashtags would be able to see my post in their news feed. I got 18 likes or whatever, so I'm happy with that. That's great. 4 comments. But some cool analytic stuff about LinkedIn is it shows me how many views I had. So this post had 992 views. I think that's pretty cool. This was another post. This was a for fun, silly one, so I'm not even going to talk about that one. We'll just keep scrolling. This was one, it looks like we were featured in a JSU article. Again, during, everything that was going on with COVID. This was in March. So, I mean, just imagine how crazy things were then. But JSU was promoting us because of the things that we were doing in the community with our small business clients. So I just put a few sentences here. You want to break up your posts if they're going to be long. Don't just put a huge paragraph because people are not going to read that. Do a few sentences at a time. And then, so again, I did a screenshot of the image that was within the article, used it as my image here for the post, but then I linked to the full article. And then as you can see, I used tons of hashtags. And the reason I used tons of hashtags on this one is because with everything that was going on at the time, I knew people were following PPP, the EIDL, SBA. So I wanted it to show up in as many news feeds as possible. And it looks like it had 1,000 views. So this one had 27 different likes and things like that. So I feel fairly proud of that. This one was when I was working on that video, the 5-minute video about business continuity. But I thought it was really cool because I got to be in the studio. They got to have the little clicker. I don't know what that's called, but I was in the middle of it. I was like, listen, before we leave, I want a picture of me and the marker clicker thing. So I thought that was a really cool post. And I just very basically said, working on promotional and educational resources for a project, stay tuned, details to follow. So it doesn't have to be, anything lengthy, just something to continue to be relevant, to have engagement. I shared something that another organization was putting on. This was some of my own content that I put together. I made this graphic myself. I mean, it was just a very simple thing. If you have not checked into Canva, CANVA, for making different graphics like this, it's a great free resource. You can also do more things with it if you have a paid subscription. But I mean, the free side of it is really valuable too. So what I did with this post, this is when, again, we were helping clients with economic injury disaster loans. And so just really quick, I wanted to get a few articles out there. And so I just, as you can see, listed those articles or the links that would be helpful. This was a different type of post than what I usually do. I just had this great idea one day. This is when I was working from home. Things were crazy, so I just happened to have a great idea and decided to roll with it. This is innovative business ideas. So during the pandemic, when everyone was having to pivot and change what they were doing as far as how they were offering their products and services, I did some research, figured out some cool things that people were doing, and I used Canva to create each of these graphics. So I I made a template in Canva and then just created a separate image for each of these and then posted them that way. So let's see. I clicked out of my activity, but you want to try to mix up what you do. You know, don't always post the same types of things. Keep it engaging, you know, videos, images to grasp attention. Another thing that you can also upload are documents. So this was actually something that I did for the chamber back in, I don't know, February, March, something like that. But anyway, we did a joint workshop, and this was a handout that I provided at some point during that time, and I was able to upload a PDF of it to LinkedIn. So that's another thing that you can do. And it looks like I did a flyer here at some point and then uploaded it to LinkedIn too. So really that kind of goes over a lot of the different things that you can do within LinkedIn. So now I'm done rambling. I'll open it up for questions if anybody has any. Okay, if nobody has any right now, I'll just tell you how you can contact me. My email address is cwchandler@jsu.edu. And my phone number that rings directly to my office is 256-782-8038. And then you can also get that information from the chamber as well. But otherwise, thank you. I've really enjoyed this presentation. LinkedIn is something that I really enjoy talking about. You know, if you'd like to know more in-depth things of how you can do LinkedIn, I'd love to share those with you someday as well. We can kind of go more in depth. But otherwise, I hope this has been valuable to you, you know, giving you some insight into how to use LinkedIn, you know, to the advantage of yourself professionally and your business.